Good afternoon, Zimbabwe. Welcome to the Lunchtime News Bulletin on KeYona TV. I am Rashid Mhlanga. These are the stories making headlines. ZEC final voter registration blitz commences. Wicknell Chivayo acquitted of defrauding ZPC. Matebelele North farmers optimistic of good yield. And ZRP arrests 3,712 on drugs and illicit substance blitz. And in regional news, children in Ethiopia's Tigray region return to school, but trauma lingers. And in sports, Nash track and field finals set for Peterhouse. Now, let's take a look at these and more stories in greater detail. The Zimbabwe Electoral Commission ZEC has deployed over 1,900 officers to more than 4,400 centers for the final mobile voter registration exercise, which began on Sunday. The 10-day nationwide campaign ends on March 21. Eligible voters will, however, still be able to register until 2 days after proclamation of the election date by President Emmerson Mnangagwa. Meanwhile, the Civil Registry Department has deployed mobile teams and extended operating hours for the issuance of national identity documents during the voter registration blitz. Moving on. Intertrek Managing Director, businessman and socialite Wicknell Chivayo, who was accused of fraud involving $5.6 million has been found not guilty and acquitted after a Harare magistrate ruled that the state delayed in putting him to trial. Speaking after the handing down of the judgment, Chivayo's lawyer Sylvester Hashiti said the ruling means that the contract obligation between Chivayo's company Intertrek and Zimbabwe Power Company is still binding, and that Intertrek will fulfill the mandate of setting up the Gwanda solar project. In a judgment handed down on Monday, Harare Regional Magistrate Lanzini Ncube granted Chivayo and Intertrek's application for refusal for further remand at the close of the state case. Consequently, Chivayo and Intertrek were found not guilty and acquitted of all 4 counts of fraud, money laundering, violation of exchange control regulations, and confiscation of profits due to lack of evidence. Chivayo and Intertrek were facing 3 counts of fraud, while the other 2 counts of breaching exchange control regulations and money laundering suffered a stillbirth shortly before the trial commenced. The court found that Chivayo and his company had not committed any criminal offenses but participated and won a public tender that was advertised and available for everyone to bid. The state required of him to answer the charges pertaining to 100 megawatts Gwanda solar power project, in particular in alleging that he failed to perform in the terms of the contract and thereby committed an act of fraud against ZPC. And moving on to Matebeleland. Farmers in Matebeleland North Province are already celebrating this year's yields, highlighting the improvements made in the farming industry as compared to the previous years. Londiwe Dube reports.
Farmers in Matebelele North Province have applauded the government for increasing support towards crop production and are anticipating fairly good harvest this year amid the challenges posed by climate change they have been facing over the years. This follows an interactive meeting with a number of farmers in Cholocho North Ward 6 who since confirmed that they are looking forward to very good harvest, with the traditional grains expected to give each farmer almost close to 10 tons, 3 times what they got in the previous year. They have since applauded the government for offering educative programs at the same time availing adaptive measures to the ever-changing rainfall patterns, as well as providing free farming equipment across the marginalized communities. In an interview with one of the prominent farmers in the province, Mr. Abel Dube, farming has been made easier following the government's intervention towards crop production.
Sikhangelele sibili sivuno esingcono kulela last year. Isizathu silesi. Njengoba ngitshilo umumo wezulu lonyaka izulu libe ngani libe ngcono kakhulu kula last year. lanxa nje kusiba lobudlo obuthize. Khona nje sikhangelele sibili ukuthi at least engxenye nxa siqathanisa lesivuno salast year kungaba phose okuphindwe kabili kusiya kokuthathu. Sikhangelele ukuthola ama-tons between 8 and 10. And esikusebenzisayo kakhulu ekulimeni lapha kulento ezithize esifanele uzi-observe. Okokuqala yikukhangela ukuthi izulu lakhona lisewule ngasiphi isikhathi lawe uphangise ukulima. Okwesibili okuqakathekileyo yikulungiselela umhlabathi wakho ungakalimi. Okwesithathu inhlanyelo. Inhlanyelo njengobana nje umkhathi utshintsha, inhlanyelo esesi-adapthe enhlanyelweni lezo kuthiwa ezivuthwa masinyane, okuthiwa khona ngama-early kumbe medium seasons. So okunye njalo yikuthi nxa siqala thina ukulima sivamise ukuthi siqale silime amabele ngoba amabele iweather kwesinye isikhathi kubo January lapha siyashota izulu. So amabele ayakwanisa ukumelana lokutshisa kulomumbu. Umumbu ke siwulima kubo December khonapho. Kusiya ngokuthi izulu lina njani.
Lobel's Biscuits Operations Manager Andrews Dinidza appeared before Bulawayo Trade Guard Magistrate Joseph Mabeza answering to charges of sexual assault laid on him by his female subordinates on Friday last week. Our reporter has more detail.
Lobel's Biscuits Operation Manager Andrews Dinidza appeared before Bulawayo Trade Guard Magistrate Joseph Mabeza answering to charges of sexual assault laid on him by his female subordinates on Friday last week. Circumstances surrounding the matters are that one of the complainants did not report to work sometime in March 2021 because she was attending to her sick child. Upon arrival to work, Dinidza demanded to know why she did not report for duty on the day in question, and the female subordinate told him of her sick child. In turn, Dinidza threatened to terminate her contract unless she granted him a sexual favor. It is alleged that Dinidza then raped his subordinate, who in turn reported to the police, and a medical report, which is yet to be read to the court, was compiled. In another count, Dinidza is alleged to have demanded to bed a contract female worker in return of a full-time contract sometime in March last year. In a third count read to the court, Dinidza allegedly raped a third female subordinate in 2013 after she went to his office to inquire why her husband was dismissed from the same company. After raping her once, Dinidza is said to have reinstated the husband back to work. Dinidza is said to have committed these illicit crimes during the time when he was Human Resources Manager at Lobel's. All hell broke loose when Dinidza was moved from Human Resources Manager to Operations Manager in the same company. He was not asked to plead to the charges as the case continues on Wednesday, the 15th of March.
The Bulawayo City Council BCC is conducting a door-to-door survey on the Cowdrey Park sewer and water connection status, a process expected to end on 20 March 2023. Let's get a detailed report from our correspondent.
The Bulawayo City Council BCC is conducting a door-to-door survey on the Cowdrey Park sewer and water connection status, a process expected to end on the 20th of March 2023. In a statement, Town Clerk Christopher Dube said the information will be used to analyze, plan and help in decision-making to improve the sanitation status of the suburb. Information to be collected includes stand number, property reference, owner's name and phone number, water and sewer connection status, meter number, material status, segment and account number. Dube added that municipal staff and students who will be conducting the exercise will be carrying identification cards. Members of the public are advised to supply the survey team with relevant information to help them complete the water and sewer connection status survey form.
And moving on to Wange, Mpumalanga Phase 4 residents are reeling under a water crisis that has triggered fears of cholera in the Hwange suburb, with the community enduring weeks without water. Our reporter gives us a detailed report.
Mpumalanga Phase 4 residents are reeling under a water crisis that has triggered fears of cholera in the Hwange suburb, with the community enduring weeks without water. Speaking on Hwange City First virtual space, Hwange Central MP Daniel Molokele said the residents expressed their fears of contracting cholera and called on Hwange Local Board HLB to act. Residents expressed concerns that the local authority was taking ages to respond to the situation, citing that the response on the water situation is slow and that the meetings that leaders are having on water are endless, raising fears of a cholera outbreak if the situation continues to persist. In response, HLB said efforts were underway to restore water in the area. The local authority urged residents to pay their bills on time to capacitate it to respond quicker to faults. Town Secretary Ndumiso Mdlalusi said according to council records, there is a discrepancy of 18.6 million on the Zimbabwe National Water Supply Authority ZINWA bill and council bill, and that council is working on establishing why there is such a discrepancy, as he said this might have been caused by either council's underchanging or ZINWA's overcharging. He added that preliminary investigations reveal that the ZINWA bulk water meter supplying Mpumalanga Phase 4 could be faulty, and the local authority is working on a permanent solution. It is currently supplying water to residents through Bowsers.
6 Zimbabwean nationals escaped from police custody in South Africa on Monday morning after their alleged accomplices engaged in a shootout with South African police to free them. In a statement, the South African Police Services, SAPS, said the incident occurred outside Louis Trichardt. The police in Makado have since launched a massive manhunt for a group of heavily armed suspects who attacked and shot at police members transporting 6 awaiting trial prisoners and managed to free them. The suspects thereafter took the 6 prisoners and sped off in a grey Mercedes-Benz and a white Toyota Baki. SAPS identified the 6 as Forward Shumba, 26, Shingirai Nyandombe, 32, Brilliant Sibanda, aged 26, Eric Stole, 35, Moses Zambara, 32, and Alex Nkomo, aged 35. The 6 were awaiting trial for crimes committed in South Africa and were being transported by police when their accomplices freed them. The Zimbabwe Republic Police has arrested a further 41 people in the ongoing operation dubbed No to Dangerous Drugs and Illicit Substances, bringing cumulative arrests to 3,712. 120 arrests were made on the operation on the enforcement of route permits and timetables on passenger public service vehicles, bringing cumulative arrests to 8,820. Meanwhile, the ZRP is investigating circumstances surrounding a suspected case of murder in which an unidentified maid aged between 30 and 35 was found dead in a Honda Fit motor vehicle registration number ADW 5062. The vehicle was parked at Parenyatwa Group of Hospitals pedestrian gate on 13 March 2023 at around 6 o'clock in the morning. The victim was found with a stab wound on the chest. Anyone with information to report at any nearest police station. And now to regional news. Children in Ethiopia's Tigray region to return to school, but trauma lingers. This has been a 2-year-long civil war in Ethiopia that has left many children orphaned or separated from their families. The psychological trauma lingers for these children. Mulugeta Asbeha visited children at the school-turned-shelter in this story and narrated by Salim Suleiman.
Children in this kindergarten in Mekelle, the capital of Ethiopia's Tigray region, are singing a popular children's song about the value of education and how it should be cherished. But the children in Maiweni, a school-turned-shelter for many displaced by Ethiopia's civil war, have been deprived of education for over 2 years. Since 2020, when the war began, the camp has welcomed more than 8,600 people, about 5,100 of whom are under the age of 18. Tsagga Fitsum is a volunteer teacher. She says since the ceasefire in November, she's been seeing positive changes in her class of 65 students.
Many children were hurt. Some were forced to live parentless, even though they have parents. But if there is peace, they want to go back to school and return to their families. We need to make an effort, especially for the children.
Mekelle was a site for government aerial bombardments. Mekelle's resident Gebres Gaber Hadush says children are still feeling trauma from the aerial attacks.
During the war, children were psychologically traumatized, especially when there were airstrikes and drone attacks. Even now, children have doubts and feel pressured. They don't think planes are coming in for peaceful purposes. Therefore, if school starts on time, it would be good, but they also need psychological treatment.
It's Adingil Hadara, a psychiatrist in Mekelle's Eider Hospital, says the long-term effects of the war will impact the next generation.
Children are experiencing behavioral changes in every household. Where can they go? What should they do? What is so sad is some of my patients under 18 say they have lost hope. They are thinking about committing suicide. Some ask, what is our hope? School has stopped and we are suffering. They need psychosocial support.
According to a 2022 report by the UN, 1.39 million children in the Tigray region are out of school because of Ethiopia's civil war. Now that there's a peace deal, advocates are pushing to offer mental health services to children as part of their education as they begin to re-enter classrooms. For Mulugeta Atzbaha in Mekelle, Ethiopia, Salim Solomon, VOA News.
And now to Ghana. An aid group in Ghana is using the popularity of basketball and the Basketball Africa League to help keep kids in at-risk communities in school. A program known as Dunk Grassroots offers basketball practice for students who rack up reading credits at the library. Senanu told a report from Jamestown in Ghana.
Emilia Boni, the fourth of 7 siblings, lives in the slum community of Jamestown in Accra. She's dreamed of becoming a customs officer and believes her basketball skills can help her get there. She joined a program called Dunk, Developing Unity, Nurturing Knowledge, Grassroots. The sports and education program requires students to keep good grades to continue to play sports. Emilia has done so well academically that she has won a scholarship to continue her studies.
If you are not doing well, then you have to stop and study till you get back to where you were. Then you start playing the sports again.
Dunk Grassroots, the youth-led community-based project, targets at-risk women and children ages 8 to 19 living in low-income communities. It uses basketball as a tool to encourage youth to stay in or come back to school.
Once they are committed to the sports, they have cool jerseys, they have a team, they go with a bus to go and play a match. They don't want to lose that, right? So you introduce the education by saying, and it's very basic, but it works, saying you have to complete 2 hours of library before you play basketball. At 4 p.m., everybody's here trying to complete 2 hours of study before they play basketball.
A teacher at Accra Wesley Girls High School says they have seen an increase in the number of girls participating in the program. The school has admitted 20 dunk students in a 4-year period and gone to win regional and national high school basketball competitions during that time. Sports teacher Vida Yabani says the program also prepares students to find a job after basketball.
After your retirement in the game or your injury during your time of play and you can't play again, where do you go? But if you have your education background, you'll be able to have something on your own.
With the introduction of the Basketball Africa League, BAL, in 2019, basketball has seen a surge in popularity at the national level. In December, the Ghana Basketball Association, or GBBA, drafted its first male and female national teams to compete in the qualifying rounds of the Continental Tournament. VOA is a BAL broadcast partner.
We've been linking up with you. We get a calendar and we are trying to work around it for our teams to participate in BAL.
Dunk grassroots officials say they will develop their model to also identify talents that has the potential to compete at the international level. Dunk co-founder Tahir and his team hope that with the opportunity to play at a professional level, students will be even more interested in the basketball and the education program. Sana Anutor for VOA News, Jamestown, Ghana.
Moving on, the National Association of Primary School Heads NASH track and field finals are scheduled for Peterhouse in Marondera next week. Mwele Dube reports. And with that final report, we have come to an end of today's lunchtime news bulletin on KeYona TV. I am Rashid Mhlanga. Thank you for watching.